Let's see. I'm trying to find a good service to do this on. Hey everybody, it's a comic book. Look at your boy John on Demand, looking so quarantined. Oh my heavens to Betsy. And of course, you guys joined by the one and only co-CEO, Tom Devine. There can only be one. And we'll be talking about Tom's cameo in some of my books coming up today. So I'm really excited about that too. But I do
Yeah.
just want to highlight my exceptional fashion I had to accessorize to Tom's latest Facebook post. And so Tom recently shared his the first ACBL impressions of Pokemon Go, which still makes me freaking laugh till I'm crying. Which is
Oh,
funny because I'm laughing behind the camera, like it's the funniest thing. It is the funniest thing. It's the greatest video ever. So I had to wear my Gengar shirt and my Gengar hat,
oh, dude,
in
that's
honor
sick, man. That's fun.
of that. So definitely. So how are you?
Oh, so good, Johnny. So good, man. It's good to talk to you. Good to talk comics and see you.
Yeah.
You are looking fresh to death today with that Pokemon gear. And when that came up in my memory, I literally watched it and just laughed like the whole time. I was like, oh, I gotta watch that. I have to send this out again. It's just that was such a fun day and a funny time. And I mean, the impact that Pokemon Go has, 4 years later now, it's pretty crazy. So
Yeah. Yeah. It was just perfect.
yeah.
Oh gosh.
Check
But
check out the comic book look Facebook to see that, people.
definitely. It's well worth the watch, you guys. It is delightful. So you'll see Tom and Ken just crushing it 5 minutes into the game on release day. So
That's right.
heck yeah. Well, we got a steep itinerary today. It sounds like Tom's playing solitaire over there with comics on the table we see, and I got
Um,
a baby mountain as well. So
and I got, I have a little bit, some theories about why I have so many right now, too,
oh,
that I want to get into.
okay.
As the comic, I'll jump right into it. I mean, as you can see, I have a lot of comics here. I have not too many. Here's some from the big three from the big two, but other than that, the rest all going indie. And there's been, I think, what is my theory here is that Diamond shut down, so Marvel and DC were not sending comics, and either was Image, and without a paycheck, then creators for Image, or for these big corporations will stop probably working for an amount of time. But I think anybody who was doing indie comics probably didn't stop drawing at all. This is the quarantine doesn't change their day to day of getting up, drawing, writing, being at your house the entire day by yourself. So, in turn, when I get to go to the comic shop, I have seen an influx and a flood of really, really fun comic books, and so that's what I want to talk about today. And
Heck yeah.
some of the different indie comics that have been really fun, some old ones and some new ones and some rehashes. But it's quite a few rehashes. But I just feel like it's great, and it's a great time for comics. Um, Things are shipping right now. Marvel is shipping every other week. DC
Hmm.
is using a different distributor. A lot of drama and stuff with that. But as a reader, hey, there are new books at the shop every week, and there's plenty of old books in your stack, and
Yep.
there's plenty of friends' books that you still need to read. So the reading continues, and so a comic book look continues as well, Johnny boy.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
And in turn, I got a bunch of stuff to talk about, and as you said with your mini mountain, I'm super excited to see what you got as well.
Delightful. Delightful.
Um, and it's been a few weeks since I, met up with you and talked. So,
Yeah.
just jump right in, and maybe we should just do some like every other kind of quick talks. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Okay. So, I'm gonna jump right into something that was really, really special to me, and this is support our shops. This was a book that it's from Aftershock Comics. It actually got two because they gave me a free one afterwards, but I bought it the day it came out. And it's support our shops, and it basically is a bunch of really, really cool artists, and they tell stories about comic books and
Hmm.
how they got into comic books and how their LCS is special to them. And honestly, I read this through. It was really hard to get through. I cried at almost every single story, man. Being shut up here in
Ooh.
quarantine, not being around people, it sucks. So then when you hear like how a comic shop is so much more than a thing that just you buy comics at, it's definitely about John, it's about Brian, it's about Dave, it's about the experiences and the interactions I've had with them. It's about seeing John, I'm talking John Nordstrom, but also seeing John Runyon, you, and seeing Ken, and seeing, Sarge, and seeing the Wednesday Comics guys, and seeing all of the community that is surrounding us in comic books is like just is equal to the happiness I gained from reading the stories I gained from that. And so this talks a lot about that, how, as a person who reads comics, sometimes people are going, why would you do that? Or they don't understand where you're coming from, or you maybe have a background where you weren't always weren't into the most popular thing or whatever. And it really shows and like drives home just like how comics can bring community together and like give you that outlet and clearly given us that outlet. And like I seriously was like super touched by this book. And so like if you're a comic book reader, if you're watching a comic book look, I mean that means you're a deep comic book reader because you read it so much that you'll even go on YouTube to look at videos about people talking about comics. Then you need to read this and you read it from cover to cover. And then all of the artists and the writers who wrote stories in there, we need to be following these people and allowing them to their other books to succeed, because these are the kind of people that wrote stories that will continually push comics forward and deliver things that we want to, and their heart is in it. So yeah, I mean, big shout out. I'm gonna just read a couple of them. Cullen Bunn, Steve Orlando, Leah Liaz, Jamie McElvey, David Mack, Simon Kurdowski, Stephanie Phillips, Phil Hester, shout out, Goancho, Jerry Ordway, Marshall Dillon, Rose Stein, Ted Brandt, Cliff Richard, Zach Thompson, Gordon Purcell, shout out, Guy Major, Don Kramer, Bruce McCorkle, and Aaron Douglas.
Wow.
If you see one of those comics on a book, pick it up, people. So yeah, John, 6 out of 6 beers.
Yeah, I was not familiar with that one. I definitely would love to check that out.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got you a copy.
I got you. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I am going to do my best to follow up with that, but I think you stole the show on that one. But I did want to match your tablecloth, and so I pulled. This is slightly recent. Batman Detective issue 1022. First of all, you guys, saying that issue number never gets old. Thank God. Thank the gods. Like finally, it matters that I collect something. Huzzah! So I've been with this now since what 934 or whenever Rebirth started.
Time.
Yeah. So it's been pretty decent. Right now we are actually in the middle of a very mean story arc, highlighting some Joker cameos, but really Two-Face. And Two-Face I have a very special spot in my heart for because I did a little cosplay, complete with the suit and everything, and that was a lot of fun. So it's so much fun just to see Harvey being badass and awesome. So I don't know. So if you're not reading Batman Detective Comics, it is leading up to the Joker War, whatever that means. So we'll see how that goes. Another big event, of course. But overall, I have been just pleased as punch with this series since I've started on it. Back when Clayface was on the team and they had all the different characters and stuff. So I highly recommend it, and it's good stuff. So I would probably give this 5 out of 6 because I'm thirsty. It's hot.
Oh, it's hot, thirsty. Beers are flowing. All right. Well, the beers are flowing. Let's go with the next one.
Yeah.
Dear Becky, The Boys is back. That Amazon show that me and John had talked about earlier. In the year, we have now. It was successful enough that we got our Boys. Garth Ennis bringing us back for a new Boys, probably miniseries, I have to assume, but it's called The Boys, Dear Becky. It takes place 10 or 12 years after the events of The Boys. Everything kind of settled down, but we're looking back now, and we're kind of seeing how, Annie and Huey's relationship is working, and then Mother's Milk now like runs the government section for it, and we still get Butcher coming in and working with them, and they're looking at things of the past, and it's extremely funny stuff already, of course, like graphic stuff. In this other one right here that's been 2 issues so far, this one it's all about basically it's the Shazam, and so they have to take Billy Batson and as a little boy, they have to take him and so he stops turning into Shazam. They cut out his tongue.
Oh.
He can't say it anymore. He can't say Shazam anymore. It
Oh.
is brutal and messed up, and
Oh man.
exactly what you would come to expect from the boy. And I gotta say, like, I love every second of it, man. And it's great to have it back, and it's great to have it going in. And you can tell that they altered some of the dialogue to be like post-COVID and during COVID. So there's jokes about COVID in the book already. And oh
Yeah.
man, I gotta say, like, hats in a way, Garth Ennis just always gives me exactly what I'm looking for, and he doesn't disappoint. This time, I give issue 1 and issue 2 a full 6-pack each. So yeah, I'm riding on 18 beers so far.
Heck yeah, man. Well, my next one is definitely a blast of the past, that classic '90s literature. Um, I,
Oh,
uh, I had a chance to learn about a Thunderbolts cameo that I was not aware of previously. So this Spider-Man team up series, I got
come
5
in.
of the 7 issues, right? I got 5 of the 7 issues, and it had random things like Silver Surfer, the X-Men, whatever, and then Thunderbolts. And I was just like, the classic Thunderbolts, I need this. So I reached out to the shop right away and I said, look, I have one of the issues from your dollar wall. I need to literally get this book. And thankfully they had it. So they saved it for me. But yeah, so I was very, very happy. Classic dialogue of, oh, we're pretending to be good guys. And, oh, Moonstone's a psychiatrist. So we're going to lay in the mental puns and all this other stuff. And it was just so funny. Typical 90s, though. The art, the dialogue, and everything. So I was like, oh, this takes me back to when I was first reading. So Spider-Man team up featuring a Thunderbolts, Spider-Man issue 7. Highly recommend it. I'm a Thunderbolts geek. I'd give it a strong 4 out of 6. I mean, it was that 90s life,
Oh,
but for me, it made my heart very happy.
I mean,
So,
exactly, dude. That's like, as a Thunderbolts fan, as for me, Zatanna or whoever, the Question, different ones that I really like. When
mm,
you find like that little comic that you thought you had them all, and then you find that, oh no, I don't,
mm-hmm.
dude. That's like so fun. It's like the best feeling for a comic fan. So that's sick that you got that, John.
Yes, I was very excited.
Hell yeah. Well, going into Batman, you talked about a little bit. I'm
Mm,
going to talk about 2 Batman books at the same time.
yeah.
We have this kind of like weird one. It's like weird binding. It's kind of like a kid's book. I mean, it almost looks like a kid's book. It's definitely not. It says 17 plus on the back. But I bought it. Batman the Smile Killer.
Yeah.
Listening to Wednesday Comics, there was like a Joker one of in the same world, like
Mm,
Joker the Smile Killer. I didn't know anything about that, so I've only read this, and it basically is the Joker set up a fake TV show, and
mm,
Bruce Wayne watches it and kind of gets brainwashed, and Bruce Wayne isn't the Batman. He's actually just a psychopath in a mental institution, and he keeps on thinking he's the Batman, and his mom's still alive, and Gordon's his psychiatrist, and it's like this weird Elseworlds type of tale
oh,
that ends really strange. But it was like a fun ride. And the guys at Wednesday Comics, they were kind of hating on it, saying like, where could it go? Arkham Asylum's already been done. But it's like, yo, get out of here with that, Wednesday Comics, because this was fun. It's a one shot. It's supposed to be just earn it and burn it. And hey, you know what? Not everybody's old farts like you and have read Arkham Asylum. It's an old book from the 80s. So, like I could give this one to my daughter or my son and they would like it and they would not have any context for those other things. So
yeah.
definitely thought it was good. I'll give that one a 4 out of 6 beers
Okay.
as well. And then we'll go into Dark Knight's Death Metal. And this
Metal.
is the continuation of the other, Dark Knight's Metal. And it has like the Batman who sees all and he's all creepy and he runs this world where like Wonder Woman controls part and Superman controls part, but Batman controls them all, and you don't dare go against him. And I don't know, man. It's so much. It is so over the top. It's like straight out of like a 16-year-old boy who's like been just listening to heavy metal and nothing else, and just reading comics. And I mean, it's definitely it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And so it's just too way overwhelming. Art looks good. writing's good, but I'm not gonna finish it up. So 2 out of 6 beers for this. But the best part about this was I'm at the river for the 4th of July. If you guys want to see what the river looks like, check out our old episode on the boat. And I was watching my kids swim right here, and we had some nieces and nephews that are kind of like in-laws that came in, and I don't know them that well, but I was watching them swimming or whatever. And so I, sit down. I'm far enough away, I think, from the water, and they start swimming, and I open up my comic book, and then all of a sudden, like, I get like Super Soaker 50'd directly in the face with water all over my comic book, just like a steady stream of like just getting drenched with all my comics. And this like 4-year-old little cute girl's like, ha ha ha, I got you, Tommy. And I was like, you got me. As I'm dying inside trying to damage my comics. So basically what I'm saying, this has basically been Lazarus pitted already. And I don't know if it deserved it or not, John, but that's the way it goes. So 2 out of 6 beers.
2 out of 6 beers. Well, it sounds like it might have. At least a dip.
Yeah.
A dip.
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
This next one is a little unique. The Last God, Tales from the Book of Ages from DC Black Label. Very interesting. I'm not familiar with The Last God at all, but only reason I got it was because it literally has content that's D&D 5e compatible. Like, we're talking monsters, playable classes, and everything. And I'm just like, I don't know the context, Tom, behind this or anything, but I said extra D&D content. I need this in my comic book box, so they put it in there. I don't know anything about The Last God.
Me neither.
I don't know why it's on DC Black Label. I don't know what's going on. So I can't really review this book except for how excited I am about extra content that's 5e compatible, and it's pretty sweet. So
man.
So 6 out of 6 because it's disqualifyingly awesome. But
hell yeah, man, dude! What is that? And I mean, I've heard of like the New Gods, or like the Jack Kirby stuff, but I mean, I don't know what this would be. So
Last God, yeah, it's so weird. But I was like, you need to do more of that, DC.
Oh man, that's awesome. So to get into another cool book with this one, Jack the Radio Creatures. So Jack the Radio,
that's a fun cover.
Yeah, Jack the Radio is a band, and which I've never heard of them. I bought this because I opened up the cover at the comic shop. It looked cool as the cover. It's an indie comic, so I'm on board. And then I saw the first artist is Brandon Graham, and I'm a huge Brandon Graham fan. He wrote Prophet and Multiple Warheads and a lot of stuff we've covered on a comic book. Look, so of course I grab it, not really knowing what it is. I open it up. It's like, really, it's an album. They're talking about a band. Don't know anything about that. Turn out all of these stories. It's like, if you look right here, it has like a playlist at the top, these chapters, and each one of these chapters is a song from this band, Jack the Radio. So I'm like, start reading it. It's kind of nonsensical, the words and stuff are. So I'm like, oh, maybe I need to listen to the music. It's on Spotify. Check it out. The words, the lyrics are the words. So then you just turn on the song on Spotify, and then you just don't read the words. You just look at the pictures as it goes along, and you just turn the pages when they get past that thing. And it's like this crazy interactive experience where I was like looking for the song, playing it, get to that chapter, going through, seeing how the artist like figured out this song. There's a little blurb from the lead singer who wrote the music about what the song's about. It's just a totally weird, different experience. Some of the songs I couldn't find on Spotify, and that was like brutal, because I was like, well, I mean, this is stupid. You have like one song released, not an album. Is Creatures a song? Is it an album? It seems to be just a song, but there's all these other songs. So that was a little bit confusing, but it's only because I loved it so much. I thought it was like such a wild ride, something I did not expect. And it turned out being like a really kind of like different way to read comics. That was really, really fun. And all I had to do was turn on music, and I turn on the music, let it play. And then I just, you go a lot slower because they're singing the song, so you're looking at the art way longer than what you would normally look at, and then you like see it longer and longer, and it was awesome to do it that way. So yeah, 6 out of 6 beers. Nice work, Jack the Radio Creatures. Very cool idea. Also, they interview them like the people in the band at the beginning on how they got into comics, and it's all like early 90s, late 80s, same kind of stuff with us, and so that was cool too to read their stories. But anyway, definitely check that out, Jack the Radio Creatures. It was very cool. Yeah, it was, man. It was. And yeah, 6 out of 6 beers for that one for sure.
Yeah. Well, continuing on that train, hopefully we have Thor issue number 5. Not on the music train, I'm talking the 6 on a 6. But this book just continues to delight. So first of all, Galactus being up in the party is just such a sweet mix. So I guess I can spoil it now because this one's been out for a minute. So if you haven't read it yet, that's your fault. But at the end of the issue, they're confronting Death, or the end of the universe, basically, who takes the form of Thor. And Thor's like, yeah, we're trying to stop you because Galactus says you're the end of the world. And he's like, no, I'm not here for that. I'm just here for Galactus. He's my herald.
Ah, damn.
Which was pretty sick. So I thought that was kind of a sweet reveal. Also,
so
just
Galactus is the herald.
Yeah, of this dude. And seeing Galactus like powered up and pissed off like that is pretty rad. Just all lit up.
Is that dude? Holy crap, man. That is awesome.
I love, like, the art's been a lot of fun, but yeah, that's the final panel with the spoiler of, oh, he's my herald, and Galactus is like, roars, no. So it's been fun. I traditionally don't collect a lot of Thor, so it's been pretty cool just to have that Galactus mix up in there, and I know my way enough around the Thor U because of Dark Reign, shout out. And if you haven't read Dark Avengers, you should.
Yeah, cool. So is that character in there? Is that like Dream? Is that like the Morpheus from Sandman or something? Who is that guy?
Oh, who, the dark guy? No, he's just like, he's literally just like he doesn't have like a set name or anything. It's just
have that name. Gotcha.
Yeah, like they call him, it's the story arc is called like Black Winter, but it's literally just Death or anything. But yeah, he literally takes the form of Thor. It's pretty sick.
Dude, that's interesting. I wonder who this character is going to be. That's a interesting take for sure.
So I dug it though. But yeah, total 6 out of 6. I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm enjoying it. So.
Yeah, very cool. Sweet. All right, next up, I'm going to go quick now. Savage Dragon 249. I don't normally pick up Savage Dragon, but I recently watched the Image Comics documentary on Hulu. It got me inspired to just love those original 6 or 7 creators, and Eric Larson is one of them. He is on 249, just like Spawn. He's one of the only series that is continuously ongoing since the very, very foundation of Image. And it turned out to be a really funny, dirty comic book that I didn't expect even. That was very poignant, all about COVID and all sorts of different stuff. So definitely recommend Savage Dragon. I mean, I haven't picked it up forever, but I have probably 40 issues of random arcs and different things. And, after watching what that guy's done for comics, I might just pick it up on a normal basis. Nice. I give the book about 3 out of 6 beers.
What are the other titles then that are going on Spawn, you said?
Yeah, well, the original titles would be like Spawn, and then Jim Lee's books are done. Robert Liefeld's books are done. Mm-hmm. I think Mark Silvestri is the other one, and he may still have one going. Like, what did he do? But it's not ongoing still. It would be like what he did. What's the girl who has the Witchblade and or something else like that? I don't know. There's
Darkness.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so I think Spawn and Savage Dragon are the only 2 that are still going. Gotcha. That's pretty cool to have an indie comic book that's been running for 249 issues. I'm sure the next issue is going to be a pretty big deal, 250. So
250,
right at the right time.
Well, speaking of big deals, well, this might not be that, but the Marvel Comics it is. Avengers Empire, issue number 0. Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, you in that? You up in the cut on this one? Yeah.
I got Fantastic Four Empire number 0.
Oh, okay.
Are they different? Do I gotta buy 2 $5 books?
Are you serious?
Are you already killing me? Look, mine says Fantastic Four at the top.
Yeah. I
Does yours
don't
say that?
think so. What's your opening page? Or not opening? Like,
It's Dan Slott. Here's the opening page. Is the writer?
oh my God.
Can you see
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, mine's the Avengers one. Oh my
Okay.
God. That's horrible. When did you pick that up? I must have missed it.
I think I just got it on. I just got it yesterday.
Oh, okay. I
So
haven't
yeah,
finished up yet.
that must have. Daisy. That's not a Rona cough. I'm sorry.
Marvel got us again, you guys.
I mean, yeah. So I guess. So here's the checklist. All right,
Yep.
let me do the checklist. So yeah, there's 2 zeros. There's Empire Zero Avengers and Empire Zero Fantastic. And did you get Road to the Empire, the Kree Skrull War #1?
Nah, maybe.
I didn't get that. I think I'm just gonna go with Empire all the way through. Now
Yeah.
that I'm not gonna buy the other zero. I think I'll just do Empire 1, Empire 2, Empire 3, Empire 4, Empire 5, Empire 6. What's the Union though? I think maybe
Oh, the Union's that new UK team. I'm all about that life. You know how I love my international teams.
I know you do. So I was thinking maybe I would get Empire and then check out the Union if I was going to get any of the other additional Empire crossovers. And I'm doing this just like out of the love, because first of all, John, you know how much it kills me to pay $4.99 for a comic.
Oh
Way.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And then it's Dan Slott writing it. I mean, if we check back the comic book look records, I have not been nice to the old Dan Slott writing jobs. And then it's Fantastic Four, though, which is my favorite and my bread and butter. So that's kind of what pulled me in. And then you tell me that I have to get another $5 freaking comic that is the same thing that is just set up as well to get the whole story. Marvel!
They gotcha, man.
But
I do like the story though about like the plant people. Does your issue talk about that? Like the
haven't
Kree
read it.
versus the plant people?
I haven't read it yet.
Oh, you haven't read it yet? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let me know
spoil
how that
on. I
goes.
want to know. I want to know. What's going
Oh,
on?
totally. So the Kree used to cohabit their plant with plant species, basically, which is I think where what's her name from Guardians of the Galaxy that controls emotions? Mantis.
Oh yeah, man.
Where she kind of originates from. I don't know the species off the top of my head, but I mean it's a lot of fun. So they talk a lot about that. The plant people actually survived on the battle world, and now they're making a comeback, and they've called the Avengers to kind of help them along the way and to bring some justice to the Kree. Well, at the end of the issue, the Kree show up with Fantastic Four. For whatever reason. So I suspect that your issue is probably going to talk about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
That's cool.
I'd give it a 3 out of 6. I mean, it's just, you know.
It's Marvel. It's Marvel summer blockbuster fluff. I'm gonna be fine with it. You know, and I hope it comes out kind of quickly. Maybe like one every couple weeks or something like that would be ideal. And then we'll just knock these 6 out, and I'll just have another event that is kind of fun. And the thing about events is like I always hate them. I always in the end get mad at myself for buying all of the books.
Yeah.
But when I go in turn and like borrow my brother a set of comics or borrow like my friend who likes comic books but doesn't like know that comics come out on Wednesday and know that you can repeat and like, you know, doesn't know current storylines or anything like that, but like likes comics, you can always give them the events and they're like, whoa, cool. All the characters are here. Wow, all this crazy stuff is happening. It's so big and blah, blah, blah. And so, like, that's what I am looking forward to is something like that. So that's fine.
So you're loaning them the Dark Reign event? That was my reaction. I mean,
I'm sure it was.
I literally have one left, but it's a big one. So I will let you coast.
Cool, because I only have like 2 left.
Okay.
These ones I haven't read yet. So I'll just bring them up that I'm excited to read them. So the 2 that I'm going to bring up is 2 Image books. One is Outer Darkness 2 and one is Decorum. We'll talk about Decorum second because I think it's a little bit more advanced. Outer Darkness 2, it's a 3-issue crossover. 1, 2, 3. You guys all know Chu, you know, Tony Chu, old series, been completed. Outer Darkness is John Layman's newer book. It's kind of like a Star Trek book. A group of people are like a part of a federation, and they're in a starship exploring the Earth. Or I mean, exploring galaxies far away. So in this book, they have like the what do they call the room, John, in Next Generation that you can make anything happen?
Oh, the holodeck.
The holodeck. So they got like a holodeck. They have a holodeck, and they like enter in old Tony Chu comic book, and they enter the comic book information into the holodeck, and he becomes a real character, and then he leaves the holodeck, and they need his ability to eat in something and find out the mystery. But very quickly all hell goes loose, and Tony Chu is too smart, and he brings back all the characters, and basically it's just like a 3 issues, no stakes, super fun romp. And it's fun to see Tony Chu back again, see some of those characters. And it also gave me a depth into Outer Darkness. So like I wasn't reading Outer Darkness. Now it makes me feel like, oh, maybe I'll check out Outer Darkness. But in the long run, it was fun to see these guys. I mean, John Layman has such a clear voice for Tony Chu that I really like this. So I'll give this both of these issues, or the whole series, 5 out of 6 beers.
Heck yeah.
And then we'll talk about a little bit something that's more important, at least in my eyes. So we are talking right here. It's called Decorum. This is Jonathan Hickman, baby. And this is Jonathan Hickman in Image doing a brand new series, and it is as hard as sci-fi as we have had. His other sci-fi was more grounded, Manhattan Projects, and all the different things that that the Hickman things that I've loved so much. This is kind of like the mix of like that Black Monday Murders with something in style where it has like different chapters and different materials with like some sort of crazy super hard sci-fi storyline. And it is hard to follow. It's hard, he does not hold the door open for you at all. It's very dense. And when I first got into it, I was like, man, I was turned off because of those things. I pressed on, and he just gives you enough in that first issue, so you're like, no, actually, there could have been something special there. And then you get the second issue, and you're like, oh, yeah, there is a lot of specialness here, and there is more at play. But you could have, like, a panel that's just like this, where it is literally action. It's beautiful, and it just says it's loose, and it's like a shape that is saying that. And it's all like this very, very abstract interpretations of these other ideas, times, dimensions, other ways of telling story, where it does like vary so much from the different times. I mean, look at these different variations of styles. You have a comic book style with like deep colors, not comic book colors, and then you have like a digital art representation on the other side. So it's a very, very I would say a book that takes chances, and it's not going to hold your hand through it, but it is exactly what Jonathan Hickman does best, and I give them both 6 out of 6 beers for those reasons. And I do suggest, if you like other Hickman, pick it up. If you were like, you kind of were like, nah, I don't know about Hickman. I guess the story ends up being okay, but I don't really like all his little methods that he does, then this isn't for you, because he amps up all that shit to like 11, where you're doing breaks in between. It's giving you a bunch of prose that you don't understand, and it's all this really abstract design work. And then it's just jumping from, maybe time to different, storyline inside the story very quickly. Turns out being really, really good, though. So, yeah, loved it.
That's awesome. That artwork was stunning.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome.
Borrow it when it's all finished. I'll give you the whole arc. So.
Hells yeah. Well, you guys, I mentioned that, Tom makes cameos from time to time in comic books. So I went way off the rails here. I am in the indie weeds up in here with this one.
What?
Yeah, I am. Tom, you're going to be so either underwhelmed or overwhelmed with joy. But I have been stacking these up. I haven't been reading them. I have finally started working on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Whoa!
And
Oh, hell yeah!
and Tommy with his ponytail and everything is up in there in glory, obviously based off of Tom. I mean, the whole
Sure.
character model was total based off of Tom. So, I mean, I hope you're still getting the royalty checks. Um,
Yeah, I know. I don't even cash them. I'm so loaded at this. I just want them in the closet.
but yeah, man, issues 23 through 27 plus an annual in there so far. So we're starting off. I'm getting into that Shattered Grid event that's been going on probably for like a year because issue 50 just came out.
Yeah.
So I have all that, and
Is it
it's been
Go-Go or is this Mighty Morphin?
Mighty Morphin Go-Go also has ties into it, so I actually have an issue coming up of that I need to read, and I have a couple more too. I went through and got the reading order, and I just lined them up like that,
What's the
so I could
difference
just read them.
between the two series? Do you know?
Go-Go focuses more on like the characters themselves without as much of the Power Rangers, so it's more of that school life. But that's only coming from reading like issues 1 and 2, maybe.
Mhm.
It's still fun, but I think it's just additional real estate. So I don't know how they're gonna weave the story between the two because the main storyline definitely highlights them, but it talks about all the other shows too. So if you haven't watched any of the other Power Rangers shows, you'll be at a slight disadvantage to not appreciate the cameos as much. I haven't, so therefore I'm like I don't really know anything about the Samurai Rangers or anything. So it kind of I'm debating like, do I want to waste like 800 hours of my life to go watch all this? Is there like a good episode I could watch of each one and get the gist? I don't know.
And
Um,
here's the answer to that. There is, and it's like the second to the last episode of each season.
you're
And
so smart. Oh my god.
and
Yes.
I've watched all that shit because John, I have 3 kids, and so
Yeah.
I get every generation of kid gets like 4 new Power
Power
Ranger,
Rangers.
you
Yeah.
know, seasons. So yeah, I mean, I'm full on board with Dino and the
Okay.
Samurai and
Okay.
all of them. And I'll tell you what, man, they've never matched what we had back in our day, my man.
Yes. You know what's funny is there was a meme that was posted. I think I posted it about being stressed about the green. Nothing was more stressful than watching the Green Ranger like take your Rangers to church for 5 episodes, and that's so true. I was
It's
just like,
so
Mom, I can't stop watching.
Oh,
You know.
I remember when that episode came on and it like ended at 8 and we had to be out of the house before like 10 minutes before then. I was like, no, Mom, I have to see this. And then it would be like, we'll continue the next episode. You'd be like, no,
How can I go on?
like
Um,
Tommy could be dead. He could be evil forever.
so I don't know. I'm loving it though. So I'm glad I've been collecting this one steadily, and yeah.
That's super fun that you're doing.
Total 6 out of 6, man. Shout out to the Dragon Zord.
Exactly, dude. We love Power Rangers, always have. Check out the old intros, baby.
Yep.
Um, So I'll go over my last ones. These are just what I picked up this week and haven't read. The Death of Nancy Drew #2. I read
Oh, cool.
the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew. It's a fun comic book, and I actually am doing a family book club on this one. So I have every single person in my family reading the comic. So except for
Wow.
Linus is still just a second grader. He's not really on board with mysteries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gwenny, my 4th grader. I got Mabel, my 8th grader, and even got my wife to read
Wow.
full.
Achievement unlocked. Boom.
Exactly. Like that was a huge, yeah, that was like a 30 points of achievement, not one of those 15 ones. And I was so stoked to have her read it. And she was a little underwhelmed. And I got to say, the story may be a little underwhelming, but I'm a big fan of the artist from Morning Glories. And I'm going to continue on because it is the monthly book club month now for my family. And so we're going to finish it up. And I haven't read it yet. I was just kind of going around looking at other ones because there's not a lot out there and stuff like that, but indies are still coming out. So I got Loggerhead #1 from Scout Comics. Never heard of it. It looks terrible. I'm excited to check it out. And Black Mask, no, our Blast Mask comic, which is Space Riders. And I heard of the first Space Riders comic. It's actually like if you have #1 Space Rider #1, it's worth like $300.
Wow.
So it's like a really cool series. This is the second group of series, but it's like, heavy metal, 70s, trippy,
I
super
love it.
color, just like all Satan heavy. I don't know. It's just inspired by all those kind of like old school stuff that, is dark and fun. So I'm excited
Yeah.
to check that one out as well. And then I have read Wednesday Comics does their League of Extraordinary Gentle People's book club every quarter, and this month was Fatale. And I started to read Fatale, and I stopped at issue 4 because I just didn't like it. So Wednesday Comics, if you made it this far into your episode, I'm sorry I didn't call in on the or on the book club episode. It was like the only book from Ed Brubaker and what is Sean Phillips that I guess I just didn't like it that much. So sorry, guys. All right. But yeah, that's everything for me, John. That's everything I wanted to talk to you about comic wise, and I got it out there. And definitely check out Loggerhead #1. I'm sure that everybody's gonna love that comic book.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Well, I guess the last thing I have to report is you'll notice behind me is a little empty.
No kidding, dude. What happened to there? Did you build you double the size of that room?
Well, no, we moved all the comics downstairs. So I have my microphone set up now so I can get back into my music recording. And I just was like, it just got to a point where I'm like, man, I'm feeling like enclosed up in here, So we moved all the comics downstairs. Everything's still alphabetized, organized, don't worry. Looks
How
beautiful.
sweet did you get moving all those long boxes? Damn.
Well, so funny story about that. Ken likes to be amazing. And while I was in here doing it, I was moving boxes out there, and then he was hauling them down the stairs.
Ken, you're a good man,
So
Ken.
Ken gets all credit for this. I was just doing the tidying up in here. So I still have short boxes. I have books to read. I probably have about 300 comics to read still. I purchased, like I said, about 70% of all the Uncanny X-Men ever. So I have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And then just some other stuff, but it freed up the room substantially, so I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah, it looks great, John. I love it, man. It looks like that room is doubled in size behind you. It's really cool.
So still a lot of stuff on the wall, but I don't know. I've been thinking about consolidating that a little bit too, and we'll see though, because I think comics are art, and I feel like they should be celebrated. But everyone keeps telling me just rotate it, man. Like have fun with it, and I'm like that's totally true because I've had the same look now for like 7 years.
Yeah, me and you are terrible at that. Meanwhile, Ken reorganizes his Stephen King stuff. I feel like
once a week,
every 2 months,
once a week, legit. Always, every time I go down, do you want the new tour? What? Yeah. So I keep telling him no because I don't know my way around Stephen King universe anyways. So
Ken, I don't even care that much. I'm just impressed that you've redone your collection 100 times this year, and me and John haven't done it in the last 4.
Yeah. He's on a mission. So
it's looking good in there for sure, man.
Thank you, man. Well, definitely. Well, that is all that I had. I do want to just, of course, give a shout out to our sponsors, Rainbow Comics.
Yep, Rainbow.
Rainbow's been really holding us down during this time, and just thank you to Rainbow for the focus on safety, and making sure that everyone that comes through your doors feels welcome and safe during these times. I just think that's really cool. And product knowledge is still there whenever I walk in and say, hey, I have a question about this. John Nordstrom's like, boom. He's like the comic book Google. It's awesome. John Jones, also comic book samurai. Derek actually has had a lot of good recommendations lately for me too. So I think he's on a good streak of winning. So I do like that. So, and of course, Dave's amazing.
Of course. The guys are great. It's great to see Brian and John both, making it through and pushing through for me for so many years. Like I said, after I read this, all those other guys are special to me, no doubt about it. But after reading this, it really reminds me how special Brian and John are to me. So yeah, big shout out to all the workers at Rainbow, especially you two dudes, man. You really have molded me into the comic reader that I am. So yeah, cool.
Awesome. Well, I hope that all of you are having a very good and safe time during this quarantine, but also just take time to read and connect and engage on Twitter, meet new people, connect, send us an email, comicbooklook@gmail.com. Got any show topics or whatever, Facebook us, email us, whatever. And we'll be happy to tackle it. But no, thank you so much to Tom as well for circling wagons today. And you guys know the drill as always. Keep it masked and keep it comics for sure, man. Boom.